The Israelites were sinful in the eyes of the Lord. The Israelites were being oppressed by the Midianites. The Israelites camped in the mountains and caves. They were later on invaded by the eastern peoples. They cried out to the Lord and asked for help. God sent them a prophet who said, "You have worshipped other gods, and you have disobeyed." The angel of the Lord went to Gideon and said, "Save Israel off Midian's hand." Gideon then said, "Well, then give me a sign that it's really you." Gideon placed the meat and bread on the rock, then poured the broth on top, like the Lord said. The Lord touched the offering with a staff, and it burst into flames. Gideon realized that it was the Lord and said, "Alas, sovereign Lord." Gideon built an altar for God and called it "The Lord is Peace." He tore down the bull's altar and took the second bull from his father's herd and placed it as a burnt offering. The people said, "Who destroyed Baal's altar, sacrificed the bull, and cut Asherah's pole?" Another said, "It was Gideon. We must kill him." They all went to Gideon's father's house with the intention of killing Gideon. His father said, "Baal is not powerful if he let his altar be destroyed." From that day on, they called him Jerubbaal. The Mennonites, Amalekites, and eastern peoples united, and the Spirit of the Lord blew a trumpet, summoning the Abiezrites. Gideon asked God for a sign to know if he really wanted him to save Israel. God gave him a sign. Gideon asked for another one, and God gave it to him again.
Hi, have you ever wanted to learn about Gideon? Well, now you can. Youth group, come! Only $99.99 per minute.
Oh, I want to go. The Lord said to Gideon, "There's too many people. Say to the army, anyone who trembles with fear may leave." 22,000 men left. God said to Gideon, "There's still too many people. Whoever drinks from the river knelt down shall live." That night the Lord said to Gideon, "Go down to the Midian camp because I'll give it to you. If you're scared, take your slave Purah." When Gideon went down, he overheard a man talking about his dream. The man's friend interpreted the dream. When Gideon heard the interpretation, he knew that it was the sign of God, giving him the camp. Gideon returned to his camp and said to the 300 men, "Follow me." When they attacked the Midian camp, they blew their trumpets, broke the jars, and took their torches. Gideon ordered them to seize the Jordan.
They captured two Midianite leaders, Oreb and Zeph. They killed them and took their heads to Gideon, who was by the Jordan River.
The Ephraimites complained to Gideon about his unfair treatment, and he answered, "I have no accomplishments, and you have good grape harvest." After that, their anger towards Gideon subsided. Gideon and the 300 men crossed the Jordan River. They reached the men of Succoth and Peniel. They asked them for bread, but they made fun of Gideon and his army, and refused to give them bread. So Gideon threatened them both. Seba and Salumna were the two kings of Midian. Gideon captured them and took them to the men of Peniel and Succoth, and he punished them for making fun of him and his army earlier. Gideon accused Seba and Salomna of killing his family, so he turned to his oldest son and ordered him to kill the kings, but he didn't, because he was only a little boy, so Gideon did it by himself. The Israelites said to Gideon, "Rule over us, for you have saved us." Gideon refused and said, "Only God can rule over you." But he asked for each person to give him one golden earring. The weight of the earrings was 17 shekels. The Israelites had 40 years of peace. Gideon had 70 sons, but when he died, the Israelites became sinful again and started worshipping Baal Berith.